So, good morning. First year BCOM Computer Applications. First year BCOM Computer Applications Semester 1. Today we discuss about programming languages. Different types of programming languages. Evaluation of programming languages. Their types, features and applications. Start the PPT. So, introduction to programming languages. So, what is a programming language? A vocabulary and a set of grammatical rules for instructing a computer to perform specific tasks. So, programming language is nothing but it is a set of instructions, commands, or statements which are used to write some code or write some programs or write some applications for day-to-day life to run the computer or to do user specific tasks like that. There are many types of programming languages are there. Generally in any programming languages there are many types of statements, commands like are used. So what are the different types of programming languages are available and how the programming languages are evaluated or formed. So in the first generation computers, machine language is used as a programming language. That is the first programming language used in first generation computers. Machine language means it is binary language. Machine language is also called as a binary language. It means combination of zeros and ones. In electrical terminology, a computer is generally made up of with electrical, electronic, mechanical devices, components, and an electrical circuit can be used to hold either 0 or 1. Means whether it is measured with whether the current is passed or not. Whether the current is passed or not. If the current is passed through in circuit or a chip, it is generally measured with a high voltage, means 1. High voltage means generally it is measured with 1. 1 means it is also measured equals to true or also called as yes value. If the current is not passed through a circuit or a chip, it is called as a low voltage or false or no. Why? Because electrical circuits and components are generally used to store, capable to store either zeros or ones. 0 means current is passed or true. Non-zero value means it is false or no current. So the first generation language is machine language. Machine language contains combination of zeros and ones. All the instructions, programs, programming code are given are using machine language only. That is the combination of zeros and ones. So generally in machine language is very lengthy language used to measure, to write the code. It is very difficult to understand and difficult to remember and difficult to write the programs and code also. So second generation, in the second generation computers we may use it assembly languages. Assembly language. What is assembly language? Assembly language is another type of language. Generally in assembly language, some the instructions are written in the form of some code. Instructions are written in the form of some commands or code, like example are load, add, store, subtract, like that. They are called as mnemonics. They are called as mnemonics or codes. So in assembly language, that is in second generation computers, mnemonics are used to represent or write programming and write programming code. So mnemonic is generally assembly language contains English like abbreviations representing like elementary computer operations, like some commands in the form of some commands. Assemblers are used. Assembler, ASSEMBLERS. Assemblers are used to translate any assembly language program into machine language code. So assembler is a application software. Assembler is an application software or a translator. Assembler is an application software or a translator used to translate any assembly language or any assembly language code into equivalent machine language. So assembler is a application program, or it is also one of the type of translators generally used to translate the programs written in assembly language or assembly code into equivalent into binary language. Why? Because binary language means computers can understood only binary language only. Computers can understood only binary or machine language only. And they can't understood any other type of language, any other type of human being language or any other type of high level languages. So next, in the third generation computers, high level languages are coming. So what are high level languages? Generally, basically languages, computer languages, programming languages or computer programming languages are categorized into three types: low level language, middle level language and high level language. Low level language means machine language or binary language. Middle level language means assembly language. High level languages means currently we are using high level programming languages. High level programming languages are introduced in third generation computers, that is 1970s, like C, C++, Java, like that. So in high level languages, high level programming languages, we may use instructions or codes by using or by writing some English, general day-to-day general English language. Similarly, we may use some mathematical notations like symbols like addition, subtraction, multiplications, operators, like that. Formulas, giving formulas, writing some expressions like that. Gross is equal to basic pay plus overtime pay. So basically there are three types of computer languages: machine language, assembly language and high level language. Machine language is also called as low level languages. Assembly languages are called as middle level languages, whereas high level languages are called as right now we are using high level language. So this is the diagram to represent the programming languages, how the programming languages are introduced. So in the base hardware, computer hardware is used. Computer hardware is generally maintained by machine language or binary language. Above machine language we are using assembly languages also. Above that, high level programming languages, they are called as high level programming languages or high level languages. Simple examples are C, Pascal, Fortran, Basic, like that. So what does the computer understand? Means computers only understands machine language instructions, that is binary language only. Computers can understand only binary language only, that is combination of zeros and ones only, not general English or any other English or any other language except binary language. So what is assembler? So assembler, what is assembler? Assembler is one of the translators generally used to translate assembly language program into corresponding machine language or binary language. It is also one of the translator or application program. Instructions written in assembly language must be translated into machine language instructions. So assembler does this. one-to-one translation means one assembly language instruction is mapped into one machine language instruction. Assembly language instructions are CPU specific, means generally assembly languages depends on the processor used. Next is compiler. What is compiler? Compiler is also one of the translator. Compiler is also one of the translator, generally used to translate any high level language programming language into equivalent machine language or binary language. It is also one of the translator and application program. Instructions written in high level languages are also must be translated to machine language instructions. So compiler does this. Generally one to many translations. One high level language instruction is mapped to many machine language instructions. High level language instructions are not CPU specific but compiler is. So instructions written in high level language are also must be translated to machine language instructions. Generally one to many translations are used. One high level language instruction is mapped to many machine level language instructions. And high level language instructions are not CPU specific but compiler is, means generally high level languages are machine independent. High level languages are machine independent and operating system dependent, and but are not CPU specific, means not depends on processor used. But compiler depends on processor and hardware or systems used. So generally compiler depends on the environment or hardware used by the system, means different compilers are used for different versions of operating systems and different types of environments, hardware environments like that. So this structure this is the diagram generally used to represent high level languages to machine level languages. So how to translate high level languages to machine level languages? So in first of all we may write some program or code in by using any high level language programming language like C++ by using some editors. They are called as editors or IDEs. IDE means integrated development environment, using editors or softwares or notepad like that. So what is an editor? Editor is a tool. It is also an application program. Editors are also application type of application programs generally used to write or enter some code or programs, save them and compile them and run them and modify them and debug or watch them by using various editors. So generally there are many types of editors are used depending on various programming languages used like C++, Java like that. So after entering or after creating or entering the program in any high level language, we may compile it, we may translate the source code. What is source code? The program written in any high level language is called as source code. The program written in any high level language is called as source code. So we may require to translate the source code written in any high level language program into equivalent object code. What is object code? Object code is called as assembly language or any intermediate language. So to convert it, we may require some compilers. Generally, we may require some compilers or translators. What is a translator? Translators are also some type of application programs like compilers and interpreters. They simply convert the source program written in any high level language into corresponding object program. So after compiling, there may be sometimes some errors may come, and while compiling, so we may find out the errors and rectify the errors. After successfully compiled, object code is generated. Object code is generated. What is object code? Object code is nothing but it is an intermediate language, intermediate code, which is generally used by the systems. So object code for that program is generated. After that, we may use another type of application software called linker. Linkers are generally used to translate. Linker is also an application, one of the application software used to translate object code into corresponding executable code. So linker is also another type of application program generally used to convert object program into executable program. So by using linkers, we may simply convert the object code into corresponding executable code. What is executable code? Executable code means it is in the form of machine language or in the form of binary language. So executable programs or executable code is used to ready to use to execute or run the programs. So generally all executable files, that is .exe files, all executable files, that is like the .exe files and .com files, are ready to use by simply typing the name of the program. So linker is another type of application program generally used to convert the object code into equivalent executable code or machine code. So linker simply convert the object code into corresponding machine code or executable code. Then we may simply execute the program by giving the name of the file. And why? Because machine language, the executable file is in machine language, so the program will be executed automatically. So the machine code, after that the machine code or the machine language is executed by the computer itself. So this is the structure, step by step procedure of using high level languages, or how to use high level, how to edit, how to compile, debug, translate, run, link and run high level languages from high level to machine level languages. So in the top level, we may use various types of high level languages like C++, C++, Java, basic, DBS, like that. And at the bottom level, we may use machine language or executable files or exe files or com files. So why? Because so that machine language is called as low level language, so that all machine language or binary language is called as low level languages, whereas in the top level we may use any type of high level programming languages or HLL. HLL means high level programming languages like C, C++, Java, like that. They come under in top level, and in the bottom level we may use some low level languages or machine learning languages. So interpreter, what is interpreter and what is translators? So there are basically two types of translators are available. What is a translator? Translator is an application program. It simply uses to translate any program which is written in high level language into corresponding machine language, corresponding object code. So basically, what is a translator? The role of the role of translator simply converts the source program written in any high level language into equivalent object code. So there are basically two types of translators are available. One is interpreter and the second one is compiler. Both are translators. Some programming languages uses interpreters, whereas some others uses compilers. So what is the difference between a compiler and an interpreter? Compiler generally takes entire program at a time to translate it into equivalent object code, whereas interpreter converts a line by line code or of program, line by line code or a line by line program into equivalent object code. So there are many differences or comparisons in between interpreter and compiler. An interpreter translates high level instructions into an intermediate form which it then executes. In contrast, a compiler translates high level instructions directly into machine language. So the main difference between them is the compiler generally translates high level instructions directly into machine language, whereas interpreter translates instructions one by one. Next is compiled programs generally run faster than interpreted programs. Next difference is compilers are more faster in execution, generally more faster while compared with interpreters, so that they may run faster while comparing with interpreter programs. The advantages of an interpreter, however, is that it does not need to go through the compilation stage during which machine instructions are generated. This process can be time consuming if the program is long. The interpreter, on the other hand, can immediately execute high level programs. So another main difference is interpreter may take one by one instruction or code or program line, whereas compiler generally may use it to compile entire program into consideration. So compilers are more faster while running the programs or translating the programs compared with interpreters. So we may continue in the next class.